In this segment, I'm going to discuss a U.S. agent relationship. A U.S. agent is a separate way of petitioning for an artist as opposed to an employment relationship. It can be very useful for someone who will be working for multiple employers. USCIS actually has 3 different categories of U.S. agent in the regulation. So one type of U.S. agent is someone who serves as the employer. And what they say is if someone who's traditionally self-employed can be petitioned by a U.S. agent who will serve as the employer. This can be a little bit tricky because USCIS is actually asking for proof of how the person is going to be employed. And so if someone is traditionally self-employed, then it can be very confusing for someone to say that they will actually employ them. It can happen though. So I'll give you an example. If you have a photographer's rep who works with a photographer and the photographer makes a fair amount of money every year, the U.S. agent or the photographer's rep can serve as their employer and say, I expect that they will earn, say, $50,000 a year, and they will specify what that salary is and how they're going to be paid, and then they would be free to get the visa. So it does happen. It's very, very specific. Again, you'd have to discuss this with an attorney. The second way of having a U.S. agent is a U.S. agent who has a foreign employer. And this is a great thing for someone who's actually employed by a foreign company. I'll give you an example. If someone is a newscaster and they work for a foreign company and they get a salary in that country, they're a foreign employer, then a U.S. agent can petition for them so that they can work here in the United States. And so that's very, very specific. It's probably beyond the scope of most people that are watching these segments, but it does exist. The third type of U.S. agent is the type that I work with the most. This is a U.S. agent who represents artists who have multiple employers or work on multiple assignments with different entities. There are some U.S. agents that receive a fee or commission for representing the artist. There's other U.S. agents that don't receive a fee. It's not actually an immigration requirement that a U.S. agent receives a fee. Some professionals work with artist representatives. An example of an artist representative who can also serve as a U.S. agent would be a rep for a commercial photographer or an illustrator or even a musician can have an artist representative. So an artist representative can serve as a U.S. agent, but not all U.S. agents are artist representatives. So this is a kind of a strange topic, but essentially if there are people that are in the business of being an artist rep and they can serve this additional function of being a U.S. agent, but they don't have to do that. Conversely, someone can serve as a U.S. agent if they meet the requirements and they don't have to be an artist representative. So some U.S. agents will solicit work for an artist. For example, an artist representative might do that, while other U.S. agents are not looking for additional work for the artist, but they're merely confirming the assignments for multiple entities that are required by the O1 petition. What is involved in serving as a U.S. agent? The first thing is whether a person qualifies to be a U.S. agent. In my experience, the best U.S. agents are companies. They would have a minimum of 1 employee. The principal of that company should either be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. I recommend that the U.S. agent is in the same industry as the person that they are petitioning. So if it's a design firm, they can serve as a U.S. agent for a designer. If a person is in the music business and they are petitioning as a U.S. agent for an artist, there could be confusion either at immigration or at the consulate. So it's something to be careful for. There are also some businesses that are in the business of being a U.S. agent. We'll call them commercial U.S. agents, and that has been accepted by USCIS as well. What is involved with a U.S. agent relationship, there are a number of contracts that are involved. The first contract is between the artist and the U.S. agent, and that is essentially describing the terms and conditions of the U.S. artist and U.S. agent artist relationship. The second is contracts between the artist and the people that are actually confirming the assignments. To keep it simple, we might call those offer letters. Those are companies that are confirming events with the artist over a period of time. Now, one of the things that's really important and critical with these agreements or these offer letters is that both parties, the people that are giving the work and the artist, they both have to acknowledge that they are being represented by the U.S. agent for the purposes of the visa application. So it's an additional term, it's an acknowledgement. But if you can understand this topic, or you can understand this concept, that a U.S. agent is stepping into the shoes of multiple employers, and each of the employers that is signing a contract has to confirm that the U.S. agent is serving that purpose. And so that's really, it's a key for these relationships. But essentially, a U.S. agent relationship is really helpful for people if they're going to be working for a number of companies over the 3-year period of time. One of the important things of these agreements with these offer letters or the employer letters is that they are specific. They have to describe the type of work that is going to be done, the rate of compensation. If it's a number of projects, you have to specify the terms and conditions of that agreement. And so I think I mentioned earlier that we put together an itinerary of events, and so essentially each of these offer letters serves as an event or series of events, and you have to document that you have a lot of work. You have to have enough work for a 3-year period. And so if someone is petitioning through a U.S. agent relationship, you have to document that you have 3 years of work with a variety of people that are giving you work, whether they're employers or a company is just confirming assignments. And so that's something that it has to be specific. And anyone who just does what people call like a deal memo or an acknowledgement that they may work with an artist is something that is sufficiently vague that immigration might be confused and they might ask for additional information. So it's really important to try to specify as much as you can the specifics of what the artist is going to do with the employer or the company confirming the assignments in that relationship.